within, say, filmmaking, are there other ways that you see people handicap themselves? Just in terms of how they view themselves or their situation or what they have or don't have? Are there any other common patterns that come up?
Common ones? I don't know. They just kind of seem to, anything that kind of takes you out of the game early, but by a belief you have.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, I don't have access, or what, everyone has access now. You have a phone. You can make actually a story on a phone, or you can write. Or I just say, whenever I hear anyone use some kind of negative connotation to something like, well, I want to make something, but I just don't have the time. It's like, there's no time. If you're waiting for time to happen, it's not going to happen. All the time's gone. There's no time. But we can make time.
Yeah.
We can make time for anything that we put our mind to. So don't give me that shit. That's like taking a hatchet and chopping off your left leg before the race. You literally did this to yourself.
Yeah.
You just hobbled yourself for no reason with these beliefs. And it's all you. You're your own worst enemy. You're like the one in the audience in your way. The biggest obstacle in your life is you. Always. Today, I asked you this question outside because I was curious what your answer was. But one of the questions that came up was, so Robert, you're real positive. Do you have any human doubts?
I wanted to come back to that, yeah. And your answer was no.
Yeah, we'll come back to it. I just didn't want to forget. It seemed like I could work it in here.
Yeah, no, don't get after it. Because I'm sure a lot of people are like, what? No doubts?
Yeah.
Okay. So walk us through that.
So they said, Robert, you're real positive. Do you have any human doubts?
Yeah.
And I said, to give me a chance to think, because I had never heard it that way, human doubts. But I said, what do you all think? And then I see people going like, yes. Because that's the real answer you would probably give.
Yeah.
But I like to do counterintuitive for everything. So I went, nope. Why? Because that's a manifestation, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have no human doubts because I know the process too. You can't wait to be ready. You have to have the confidence to know that if you they say knowing's half the battle. What's the other half? Not knowing. I think that's more important because that's where the magic is. You don't know what the other half
Not
is.
knowing is half the battle.
Not knowing is the major part of the battle. I got there to the set. I didn't know I was going to do any of it. But as soon as I saw how limited the options were, suddenly it became very clear there was only one way to do it. And if you have that confidence going into each day, you shouldn't have any doubt. You shouldn't have any fear. A failure, my biggest successes came from my failure. So why would I fear that? What doubts? I couldn't think of any. Can you think of a doubt I should have? Like, give me an example of one doubt you think, or even you, what doubts would you have?
I think I need to basically take the last 4 minutes and just listen to it every morning. I just need to replay that every morning. I think it's a good reminder.
Okay, but what doubts
I'll tell you, I mean, and this is,
it's a good question,
hopefully my parents aren't listening to this, but like I grew up in a household where there was a lot of negativity. And there's a lot of, we don't have X because, we're never going to have Y because, we can't ever have Z because.
Didn't you already prove that wrong though?
Yeah, no, exactly.
So right, now you go off your own history now.
History. No, totally. There's software to overwrite.
Yeah, those are formative years. So yeah, that's
totally.
Hard.
I can't think of any excuses that you should have.
Just you even. What doubts would you think you would have? Just so I can hear, because then I go, okay, I agree with that. I just hadn't thought of any. The spot, it was so on the spot. I was wondering what you would answer on the spot. Like
You know what I appreciate about the question is how effective it is at making you stumble because of the human doubts.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, do I have inhuman doubts? Like, do I have animal doubts?
Let's just drop human.
No, I know. I just love that. I'm like, wow, that's masterful.
If you drop that
judo move.
Doubts. What doubts do you have? They wanted to humanize you because you sound like Superman when you talk. A lot of times when we give these talks, everyone thinks you're Superman. But we know each other. We know that we all have weaknesses and this and that. But we don't want that, and we don't want to manifest that, so we don't dwell on it.
Yeah, totally. I would say that my inclination would be, if I were on stage in your place, I probably would have said yes. But then if we dug a little deeper into what that means to me, I think it would differ from probably how a lot of people would use it.
Right.
So I would have doubts in the sense that I don't know how something is going to turn out. But that doesn't mean that I don't get started. And that doesn't mean that I stop experimenting, because my whole thing is like, look, for instance, like I'm launching this game. People are like, what? A game? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't connect to the other things that you're doing. And I'm like, exactly. Because I want to see what's behind door number 3, and I'm not going to know unless I do this thing that's off menu. So what are you going to do with it? What's next? I have no idea. because anything I could plan now is not going to be as interesting as a lot that is going to surface if I do well with whatever the next step is in front of me. That's it.
Right.
That's all I need to figure out. And a lot of the time, as you said, you're going to get there and circumstances will have changed. The thing that was supposed to get shipped from the warehouse isn't there. And you're like, okay. And actually, side story, I'll keep it super short. And then I want to actually ask you about a name that came to mind when you said the creative life.
Yes.
Because then I thought the creative act, and I thought Rick Rubin, and I know you've met Rick Rubin. So I want to ask about that. But when I had my very first presentation at South by Southwest, 2007, it was the launch of the 4-Hour Workweek, and I had put together the most incredible presentation of my life. I had rehearsed at a friend's garage to his chihuahuas. That was the only test audience I had. And if they got bored and walked away, I had to change my presentation. That was the only fine-tuning. But I was so proud of this huge deck that I'd put together, right? PowerPoint. I get to the venue, my computer crashes. And it's like, well, here we are.
Now what? Gotta roll up the sleeves now.
And it ended up being so much better than if I had used the slides. It ended up being so much better because I'd rehearsed enough that I knew the material. I didn't need the visual references. That was a self-doubt that I had, that I wouldn't be able to give it without the slides. Yes. And then the slides went away, and it was better than I could have.
So you can have a doubt, but you're not going to live and breathe by that. You're going to push past it really quickly, because you should have fear. You should have some fear going into something.
Yeah.
I call it fear forward.
Fear forward.
Yeah, fear forward.
Yeah.
Like have the fear, but don't let it cripple you. Just go forward knowing you're doing something that's outside of your comfort zone and you're going to reap great benefits.
Yeah.
You might slip on the first 2 rocks. It might be 4 rooms.
It should be one.
But if you don't look at it with a negative point of view, you turn it into a spike.
I think that's an RR merch t-shirt opportunity.
That's a merch t-shirt. I told somebody that years ago. They went, fear forward. I like this. I guess that's kind of catchy. But I tell you, I got to tell my kids this after we did this project together. I said, now you really know how it works. Because my son Racer, I said he was helping me with the film, right? Yeah. By the end of the 2 weeks, they interviewed him about it. He's waxing philosophical about the creative process like he's been doing it for a decade.
Yeah.
He said, I never knew how my dad did El Mariachi. I mean, every day everything was just falling apart, but we'd figure it out. Every day was figuring it out. But I never knew how he did that movie for no money. But now I do, because we just did it.
Yeah.
He didn't know either.
Yeah.
He just started. Most people never start. He figured it out day by day. And now he knew it in his blood because he had just done it. So I got them together and said, this was the greatest project we could have done together when you work with your kids, because they get to be in the boat with you figuring stuff out. They see you trying to figure it out, and they're part of the solution.
Yeah.
We're going to get into this. I'm going to talk about nepotism. Why anyone who says anything negative on nepotism, you just get slapped in the face and kicked in the balls by their kids. It'll blow your mind.
All right, we're going to come.
But we'll get back to it. But this is the main thing. This is the main thing about this, is that I told them, if I ever get hit by a bus, you all know what to do now, because we just did it. And it's all life lessons.
Yeah.
You get together, you make your plan, which is like your script. You make it as bulletproof as possible, so then you can go do your film shoot, so you can go take action. You watch it all fucking fall apart. It's like your projector thing.
Yeah.
And then that's when you roll up your sleeves and go, now let's take this chicken shit and make chicken salad. And it always comes out better. It always comes out better than your original plan.